Hi, it's Colleen, and welcome to the Alex Syberia Designs Sunkissed June release. I find that referring to color mood boards really challenges me to step up my game and bring my cards from average to wow with effective use of coordinated color and details. Let me show you how I've done this. Let's go over the products we're going to use for today's card. First is the new release called Tulips Treasure. There are two large bold flowers in this set, along with coordinating stencils that you can purchase. And the stencils are 3 layers, so you can add a lot of layer to each of your flowers. Also, you can get hot foil plates that go along with the flowers. And this is the flower we're going to use with today's card. I've hot foiled it already. And you can see how that takes up almost an entire A2 sized card panel. They're bold and beautiful flowers. And then of course they also can come with dies. Now we're also going to be using one of the scallops from the scallop nesting die set to add another element of detail. Details. We're going to go over that a lot today. And then also from the new June release is called Tiny Dots die plate. And I love the subtle detail that this die plate adds to your background. And you can also get the hot foil plate in the tiny dots, and then you can use them interchangeably to create all kinds of details to your background. I love that. And then for our sentiment, we're using For Her sentiments from a previous Alex Syberia Designs release. I found that this sentiment stamp really can be used in a lot of ways. So we're going to use that with today's card too. But other supplies we're going to need are inks, dye inks. We're going to need a brayer. We're going to need acrylic paint, an acrylic block, and watercolor paper. Now let's look at the mood board. This is the color mood board that inspired me to create the card. Observe the shades of patina, the brown, and the purple in there. We're going to look at this a little later, but just kind of keep that in your mind as we create the card. So this is a background panel that I created to sort of duplicate that patina vase that you saw on the color mood board. So I'm going to show you how I created that background card panel today. Basically, I got acrylic paint in the colors that I wanted to use, which was patina, but also I noticed in that vase that there were some rusty spots in there. So we're also going to be bringing in some brown. Now I'm taking my mini brayer and I'm just going to run it along the ink and then rub off the excess ink on a paper towel. Then I'm going to apply that ink onto a watercolor card panel, and I'm just running the brayer down the panel randomly. I'm not trying to create a pattern. I want this to be abstract and distressed looking. And the brayer, along with the pigmented watercolor paper, really helps you to get that distressed look. Now I'm going in with the browns and the coppers to kind of add that element of the rustiness that goes along with that patina vase. And I'm using a cotton ball to dab on that brown because I noticed that the browns were more like specks in the color mood board. So not only am I using the colors, but I'm also using the design elements I see in the mood board to create my card panels. Now we're going to focus on the flowers. Going back to that mood board, I recall that the flowers were different shades of purple and the leaves were green. So that's what I'm going to focus on with my stenciling today. So I'm pulling out layer 1 of the 3 stencils from the Tulips Treasure release. And the stencils are numbered up in the upper left corner, making it easy for you to know which layer to use. Then I'm adding a post-it note here to protect the leaves from getting any purple on them from the flowers. And I'm starting with my lightest shade of purple. So layer 1 will be my lightest shades of purple and my lightest shades of green. And I'm just applying them generally over the flowers and now the green over the leaves. And I use a piece of cardstock to dab off the excess ink so that I'm not adding too much ink, because I don't like to waste it, and I don't like to get too much detail before I really need it. Now I'm going into layer 2 and I'm going to apply the second darkest color of inks in both the purple and the green. And I'm using a smaller blending brush for this layer because you can notice that the little crevices are much smaller than they were in the first layer. And I find that a smaller ink blending brush uses less ink. So that's just something for you to consider when you're doing your layering, is to have a few different sizes of blending brushes so that you're getting the most out of your ink and your blending experiences. And you can buy those just about anywhere you want at your favorite store. So I'm just about finished with layer 2, and then I'm going to go in and do layer 3, but you can already see all that beautiful detail starting to build on my flowers. Now, going back to that mood board, I noticed that there were some elements of blue in the flowers. So my third and darkest layer is going to be a shade of blue and not purple. And I'm really excited about that because I think it just will help to bring out some of that detailed color that I saw in the mood board. And then with the leaves, it's just going to continue to be the darkest shade of green. And then my layers to my flower are finished. They've been hot foiled and they've been stenciled. And then the next step will be to die cut it. Look how beautiful those layers are. I'm really getting excited as to how this is coming together. So I just wanted to show you how pretty the flowers look when they're finished. Aren't they lovely? Oh, I love large, bold flowers. Now we're going back to the background again because I want to add more detail. Remember earlier I said details, details. So the nice thing about using a color mood board is that the colors are already coordinated for you. So all you have to do is rely on the colors, but then you can add details by looking at the mood board and looking at the design elements you see in there and seeing if you can duplicate them somehow. I've already duplicated the patina and the rustiness to that background that I saw in the vase, but now I'm adding the tiny dots die and then the scallop die because I wanted to add a little more detail to my background without getting over the top with it. And that's what I love about those cover plates, those die plates, is that they add a subtle amount of detail that really makes a difference in your card panel. So now I'm just putting these layers together. So because I die cut the center of that card panel out with this scalloped die, I'm going to lift that center piece up with foam tape. Again, it's another little detail element that can make a subtle but big difference in your card. And I'm using those dots, those little square dots, because I didn't want to cover up the holes in the card panel. So now that that's done, I'm going to do my sentiment, and then I will be ready to put my entire card panel together. So right now I'm just going to stamp my sentiment in black ink because I want the sentiment to stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to stamp it in black ink. And then I'm going to die cut that sentiment. And I love how Alex Syberia Designs does their dies kind of coordinate around the sentiment. So it's kind of it's not just a rectangle, it's kind of a cool shape. Hard to explain, but you'll see. Now I'm just going to go around the edge of the card panel and I'm adding some vintage brown ink because I wanted to add a little bit more of a vintage rustic look that I found in the color mood board. So I'm trying to add that. And I also feel like doing that ink blending around the edges frames the entire card panel and helps your eye focus in on the focal point, which is that flower. And now all there is left to do is to adhere the flower over the background and then also adhere the sentiment. And again, because the colors in the mood board were coordinated for us, I really find that no matter how you use these colors, in what way you use them, you're going to find that they work really well together and your card is just going to come together beautifully. And you can focus more on the details than on what colors am I using. That's been taken from you. And you can find color mood boards anywhere. You can even Google them and you'll find color inspiration that way. So I encourage you to try and find color mood boards for your next card. Here's one more look at the color mood board. And now you're going to be able to see how my card pulled all that together. I'm so happy you stopped by today. All of the details of the products for the new release will be in my description box. Please follow along with the YouTube hoppers and enter to win a prize. Thank you.